What's up, everybody? Sean the D-Man here, and welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are doing great. Hope you guys are doing well. We are back with another short little video going over some Assassin's Creed content, something I have not really done in quite a while, to be quite honest. Probably not since the beginning of the year, covering or like going over like Assassin's Creed Shadows. Oh no, that was a no, it was a year because they kept delaying it. It was supposed to come out, I believe, October of last year. And then it got moved to February of 2025. And then it got moved to March of 2025, I think it was. They kept moving the date and everything. So we're gonna go over this video, quick little video. We're gonna go over a supposedly upcoming canceled Assassin's Creed game that was set during the Civil War, but was, canceled due to political backlash and things like that. So we got this here. Um, Discussing film account. Not really a big fan of their account, but I'm going to use it for this instance. So Ubisoft canceled an Assassin's Creed game set in the post-Civil War era. Featured a black assassin who was formerly a slave. Players would fight the emerging KKK. Leadership canceled after concerns with the U.S. political climate and Yasuke's backlash. Now, now, let's talk about the Yasuke stuff first. That's probably a good entry point. So, I was not a fan. Now, I haven't even played Assassin's Creed Shadows. I've seen gameplay and stuff like that. I probably will eventually play it because over on the gaming channel, that we're probably going to be doing an Assassin's Creed series, where live stream series where we'll play all the Assassin's Creed games, at least as much as possible. But I was never a big fan on Yasuke being the lead male protagonist in this game. I was just never a big fan of that because this is set in Japan. There should be a Japanese man and Japanese woman. We got the Japanese woman, but it should have been a Japanese man as the male protagonist assassin in this game. This game was made again, like this game was made during the time of like DEI, like Sweet Baby Inc., those type of things, where inserting identity politics into a video game was more important and then actually developing a game for people to enjoy. And it was a huge backlash because people were like, "Oh, he was a samurai," or "He wasn't a samurai." You know, I'm not here to get into that aspect. I'm just talking about from a video game perspective that there is no need to put him as the lead protagonist in the game because number one, you basically already had a black guy. Well, you actually have multiple. Well, not multiple, but at least two. You had Assassin's Creed Origins, which was set in Egypt, or like more. Yeah, I guess we could say Egypt. Then you had Adewale and Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry. So you already had two games with two black characters, Bayek and Adewale. And now you wanted to do this, and now and then we were supposed to get one with the KKK's post Civil War. The canceled one that they did, the post Civil War one, sounds a lot more interesting than what they did with Assassin's Creed Shadows. Like it was a lot more interesting. But could in today's climate of writers and video games, could you trust them to actually make a good quality game without inserting some kind of identity politics into it? Probably not. So I wouldn't be surprised if they tweaked history to view things from their perspective than the actual historical facts that were present at the time. I think that was a pretty cool thing. Now we got Assassin's Creed 3 that had, American Revolution, Connor's parents or Connor's mother was killed. by Templars and stuff like that. We had some moments like that in that game. But 2025, you're concerned about the political climate and Yasuke backlash. I don't know about all that. I think you realize that you probably could not get away with what you wanted to do with the game, and you just decided to cancel it. Now, Ubisoft itself, like, they have not been doing well in the video game wise. I mean, you could basically say Assassin's Creed Shadows did not sell well. You could probably say, because they also did Star Wars Outlaws, that did not sell well. I tried to play Outlaws, but I couldn't. I just could not play it one bit. Like there was just so many technical and graphical things wrong with the game that I just could not play it. And so I was just like, you know what, I don't want to do this. So I have not played an Assassin's Creed game probably since Odyssey, and I haven't even finished beating a game. The only game I ever actually completed, I believe, was the first Assassin's Creed, maybe Black Flag. This was like years, like 20 years ago. Maybe 30. No, maybe 20. Maybe like 20 years ago. 2023, 20, something like that. It's been a while. So I have not played an Assassin's Creed game in quite some time. Now, like I said, probably on the gaming channel, we're going to be going through the series, live streaming and stuff like that. So that'll change for sure. So that's what we'll be doing. But yeah, it's so that's the case. And then Forbes, they put out an article last not last week, but like, well, I guess not technically last week. So Assassin's Creed game. All right, so I don't, how long is this article? Oh, it's not that long. We could go through it. That's fine. We could go through it. Get out of here. Yeah, we can go through it. All right, so sorry. All right. The Assassin's Creed series recently produced a rather great installment with Assassin's Creed Shadows. That's debatable. That's debatable. This year. But it turns out another great concept was in the works. A game that would have been cool had leadership, not scrapped it for reasons that are rather stunning. Game files exceptionally reliable. Stephen Totilino conducted interviews with 5 current and former Ubisoft employees about a game that was canceled in July of 2025. It would have been an Assassin's Creed game set in the Civil War and subsequent Reconstruction period. You would play a formerly enslaved black man who heads back south to fight enemies, including the Ku Klux Klan. It sounds awesome. The problem, Ubisoft watched both the reaction to a character in Shadows and what was going on in the US more generally and canceled the problem. Okay, so the reaction to the character in Shadows. Again, you put a black protagonist instead of a Japanese man. And let's be clear on how, like, look at the history of Assassin's Creed and Ubisoft and when it came to their character development. You had Altair. I can't think of, let me see if I can find a list of like the character. Um, let's see, can I find it? Oh, this one's a Reddit post. All right, so no, that's not what I want. Let me see. All right, so okay, this will work. So let's go through and everything. So Altair is an Arab assassin from Syria with Persian lineage. You have Bayek, an Egyptian. Okay, so he's not. He's so I misspoke. I misspoke. So he's an Egyptian Magi. Okay. So Ezio is Italian. Connor is obviously Native American. You got, depending on who you chose, Alexios or Cassandra in Odyssey, they're Greek. Um, you got Valhalla, which is a Norse Viking, so more, I guess, more Norwegian. Shay is Irish born. And then in the newest one, not newest one, but Assassin's Creed Mirage, you have Arabic, and then you have Yasuke. And so the main thing about it was, the point I'm trying to get across about that is, they, when they made these games, they pick characters that are tied to the who they, like, where they're born and the time period they were set in. Okay, you can, they've been doing that throughout all these games. But then you put a black guy who, by historical records, was not a samurai. People want to say otherwise. That's their business. But so it's just like, it was just stupid. And then obviously, you had the U.S. elections last year, almost about a year ago, was Donald Trump winning the 2025 election and all that, or yeah, 2025 election and all that. So, and obviously there is a cultural shift happening in the U.S. and the stuff that they did, like a lot of these game companies and movies and stuff like that, what they were doing the past 4-ish years, the audiences are not turning out for those anymore. Like a lot of these industries have been losing money trying to basically try to pander to a small percentage of the population that cannot support these industry. I can't say the word. That's so weird. But anyway, the lead up to the release of Assassin's Creed Shadows was overwhelmed by a culture war controversy that the game was using legendary historic black samurai Yasuke. That sparked both endless debates about whether he was really a samurai in history and general disdain for the idea that Assassin's Creed finally had a game set in Japan but was using a black man instead of a Japanese man lead. There was a Japanese woman, who was like, no, she was not largely ignored. Nobody ignored Naue. Nobody ignored her. Like that's dumb. That's so dumb. All right. So past that, Ubisoft reportedly also looked at what was happening in the U.S. and decided not to risk it. Too political in the country, too unstable, to make it short. It's more about the politics of things than actually making a good video game. That's basically what I'm getting out of this. While the U.S. is not in a literal culture or a literal civil war, the country is more divided than ever at the point since the Civil War. Some might argue that has been dramatically escalated by the second term of Donald Trump and the myriad in policies implemented since then. Though in July of 2024, the election hadn't even happened yet. I hate people like this. I would definitely say this article is very disingenuous, and it's just trying to pump things that aren't really there, or they don't really know what they're talking about. Ubisoft has previously reported that how Yasuke controversy had affected individual employees who were targeted for harassment during that period. The woke debate even made it its way up to Elon Musk, who began to talk about how too many video games were infected by DEI. That is indeed a fact. You can look at so many games. You got Dragon Age the Veilguard. That was a disaster of a game. You had Dustborn, Concord, any game that Sweet Baby Inc. touched ultimately was not a good game whatsoever. The only exception where people didn't really have an issue with the wokeness, I would say, is Baldur's Gate 3. That is a good example of, because you're giving players the option and customization and things like that. It was just a fun game. They didn't insert any kind of like identity politics or political talking point. They didn't do anything like that. They just made a game that was fun, and their sales were outstanding. So, and then I mean, you can also see with like movies into and stuff like that, but mainly the video games. With news coming out that I'm not sure anyone is celebrating the decision to cancel the game, supporters eager to play such a cool concept would accuse Ubisoft of bending to online trolls, and the online trolls, though they might enjoy the victory, no doubt would have a great time launching yet another large-scale campaign against a new game. I do wonder if Ubisoft get out of here. I do wonder if Ubisoft will ever receive or revive the concept, but it's more than likely that it's nothing, that it's moving on. Which is a shame. Okay, that's basically it. I want to see if I can find some tweets about it. All right, let's see. All right, one thing Ubisoft leadership has forgotten about their best-selling franchise is that Assassin's Creed is political. The game have always seen the poorest, the mistreated, and the forgotten unite to fight against an oppressor. That's just history, though. I mean, American Civil War, the French Revolution, the Crusades wasn't really much of a fight against oppression, but let's see. Assassin's Creed is thirst for justice. I mean, like then in that situation, what about Assassin's Creed Black Flag? Because that has nothing to do with fighting oppressors. You know, well, I mean, well, then again, Assassin's Creed Black Flag is probably more of a pirate game than an Assassin's Creed game, but that's beside the point. Razor Fist, no, so he's this. No, their coolest concept and surest success was a ninja assassins game set in feudal Japan. They gave us an Afro Samurai Black BLM passion play instead. That's on them. It's also true. Thinking about that canceled Assassin's Creed game, imagine the cutscenes, the dialogue, the combat, the Black history. We lost a great Assassin's Creed game. Oh, they're blaming Grums. Started playing Assassin's Creed Chronicles. I need to look more into these games. It's not my typical kind of game, but I do want to check it out though. 2D game stuff, man. Vara talked about it. We might check that out actually. Let me get this straight. The new Assassin's Creed game is the feudal Japan one everyone has been asking for since series succession. You get to play as the Yasuke and some ninja lady, and gamers are mad. Oh, this was last year, but again, missing the point. Let's check out. How long is this video? Let me see. Yeah, we can check it out. Let's see. We can check it out. It's like only 9 minutes, so it's not.
It is absolutely wild that gamers are always the ones to blame when projects end up being canceled, and that is exactly what is happening right now with Ubisoft, because they reportedly canceled a Civil War era Assassin's Creed game amidst Yasuke backlash and political fear. I have a few different things to show off.
I like Vara. I love her content and I love everything that she does. So definitely go check her out.
But before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I think when a franchise has been going for so long, it eventually gets to a point where every single iteration is criticized because it doesn't capture the magic of what once made the franchise so popular in the first place. And
I mean, keep in mind, Assassin's Creed has been going on. Let's see. Since let's see. Where are you at? Heck go. Can't find a dumb game. All right, let me see. There we go. So Assassin's Creed has been going on for almost 20 years up to this point. Started in 2007. So about 20 years that this series has been going on. And the way they do their stuff is year after year, basically. So let me make sure. Well, it wasn't, but then I remember watching a video where they talked about they changed it. So the first Assassin's Creed game, 2007, Assassin's Creed 2, 2009, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, 2010, Revelations, 2011, Assassin's Creed 3, 2012, Black Flag, 13. Let me see. You know, you got Rogue at 14, Unity at 14, Syndicate at 15, Origins at 17. So they went from, at least early on, you know, every other year, and then all of a sudden they started to just do year after year after year, like just consecutively. So I think that's also something that has hurt the franchise, because you could have stretched this out a lot more than what you're doing. Because I think it's crazy that you make a game like Assassin's Creed, you make it for like 2020, 2025, and then you turn around and already have one set out for 2026. I think that's just crazy. And then these games have like a lot of bugs and stuff right at launch that need to be fixed. Oh, sorry, that's wrong.
Think that we've reached that area with Assassin's Creed because, in some people's opinions, they're modernizing it too much, and in other people's opinions, they're not modernizing it enough. And now we're hearing that Ubisoft has reportedly canceled an Assassin's Creed game set during the post American Civil War Reconstruction era. According to a report from GameFile, the project was scrapped in 2024 after the company faced backlash over the Black Samurai Yasuke in Assassin's Creed Shadows and grew nervous about the political climate in the United States. The decision shows that Ubisoft has learned the wrong lesson instead of realizing players are tired of identity-driven storytelling and virtue signaling. Leadership.
That's why I don't like that Forbes article. They're too focused on the political side of things instead of why were gamers upset about the game, or just about games in general. Because I just laid off a few that went into it, like Velgard, massively identity politics, Concord, Dustborn. There's another one that I can't think of.
Apparently concluded that audiences simply can't handle complex topics. The result is a company running from its own self inflicted wounds. And this is such a funny situation, right? Because it's true. Over the years, Ubisoft has taken the wrong message out of every single situation, and they haven't learned from their mistakes. And at this point, there's no way that they ever possibly could. This is probably why they handed off their biggest series to the new studio that they made with Tencent,
Oh
and it's
yeah, I
why
forgot
it's
about
out of
that.
their control at this point. So, sources told GameFile that Assassin's Creed Civil War's concept would have followed a formerly enslaved man who joined the Assassin Brotherhood after gaining his freedom, traveling west before returning to the post war South to fight for justice in a conflict that would, among other things, see him confront the emergence of the KKK. Now, in my opinion, we don't have a lot of information here, right? So take everything with a grain of salt. This literally could just be a false report, because we've known for years now that the next Assassin's Creed game is set during the Salem witch trials, and it is going to feature a lead female. So
Oh, I forgot about that game. I haven't heard anything about that in like years up to this point.
I don't know if this was really ever their plan. This doesn't even sound that bad, like picking a Assassin's Creed, like Civil War time period, and happening to have a man who was a former slave, that could be interesting. That could be a really complex topic. But instead, now they're just using it against gamers saying, oh, it had to be canceled because of those toxic bigots, when they're not understanding why AC Shadows faced backlash in the first place. 5 current and former employees said the project had early approval before executives killed it. One insider summarized the reason for being too political in a country too unstable, but that explanation might sound like caution, but it misses the point entirely. Ubisoft didn't pull the plug because of political instability. It pulled it because the project was political from the start. No one was asking for a lecture about race wrapped in Assassin's Creed branding. Players have been asking for historical escapism, not another attempt at rewriting history through modern ideological filters. And Ubisoft's panic over the Civil War project stems directly from their reaction to Assassin's Creed Shadows. When the company revealed Yasuke as one of its playable leads, fans immediately noticed how far the franchise had strayed from its traditions. And it is so sad because we had been asking for an Assassin's Creed set in Japan for years
Yeah.
upon years, and this could have been really cool, but the stories they decided to tell were just a little bit too bizarre, and they didn't fit into what the franchise was all about in the first place. And it did seem like, yes, they wanted to pick these characters because of modern ideological trends, not because they thought that it was the best.
So like again, so keep in mind, like I mentioned this a little bit ago. This was kind of basically set during this DEI portion of the past 4 years, where they were promoting more on identity politics rather than presenting a good video game for people to purchase. Like we've seen that with shows, we've seen that with movies. Like there's a reason why some of these female-led movies or shows don't don't turn out well. It's because the audience is not there for them. People will complain that, oh, we need more this and this in these movies. We need to, represent more, marginalized people. But those same people that are saying that typically don't show up for these projects at all. I guess a good example of this and I use this example because it's really a pretty good one in my opinion. It's Star Wars Acolyte. Keep in mind, Star Wars Acolyte was basically female led. We could be honest about that. It was by Amanda Lesenberg, not a very good actress, but it was female led, and they were just, you had the small Star Wars shields complaining about it because the show got canceled. It got canceled before, maybe like a month after the series had wrapped up, it got canceled. And during the series run, you had like these Star Wars shields coming out talk about how there are more of us. Like there are more of us Star Wars fans than there are like, the people who hate the show or whatever. But when it comes and find out, that is not even the case. You were a very, very small voice in the Star Wars community because the viewership wasn't there. And I did a video the other week talking about how basically Disney admits that the viewership just wasn't there to justify another season. It was a very expensive show to make, but the people didn't turn out for the show because you had people after the show had already been done for like maybe a month, 2 months, 3 months, maybe. You had people on the internet who hadn't even watched the show be like, oh, I just watched it and I don't see what the controversy is. So you just watched the show. You didn't bother. You had no interest in it at the beginning while it was going on. You just happened to, you saw what was going on online. And you're like, oh, I'll go watch it. And so it's this again. It's just yeah.
Best way to tell a story, or it was going to be entertaining for people. I don't play video games to be lectured about real world
Agreed.
politics. I play games as a form of escapism. Just
Because and that's the thing that I've noticed, and a lot of people have noticed. It's like video games, reading books, movies, stuff like that. There's supposed to be a access for people to just come home from their 9 to 5 or whatever, just relax and just forget about everything going on in the world for a little bit and just play video games. But what happens when the stuff that goes on in the world start to filter into your mediums of escape, the video games, the books, the movies, the TV shows, then there is no escape for anything. It's everything that's happening in the world is happening in your realm of escapism. There's nothing to escape from that. And so then it's
just like everybody else. Now, of course, Ubisoft has been going through some absolutely major problems over the past couple of years. Look at all of their games that have failed. Over just the past two, you have Skull and Bones, which was a quadruple A hit.
oh yeah, Skull and Bones. I played. I think it's on Game Pass now. I played that, and I was just kind of like, I don't really like this all that much.
Failure. X Defiant is already dead, and that was supposed to be the Call of Duty killer. Star Wars Outlaws ended up underperforming,
Yeah.
and they had put the most money they ever had towards the marketing budget of that title. And then you had Assassin's Creed Shadows, which they only ever gave us player figures, not actually sales figures. So I think that they were definitely lower than they anticipated. But regardless, we're talking about multiple failures, and with them greenlighting a Salem Witch Trials Assassin's Creed. Don't get me wrong, that concept sounds slightly cool. But according to those reports, the lead character is going to be a lesbian. So you're going to add that angle, which is just too much for a lot of people, I think. And then apparently they canceled this game, but I just still don't necessarily know if I fully believe it. Right now,
Yeah.
Ubisoft is really trying to save their image, and so instead of blaming themselves for their mistakes and failures, of course, they're going to want to blame the evil toxic gamers as they have for years now. So historically, Assassin's Creed protagonists were original characters who interacted with real historical figures. Shadows broke that pattern by placing players directly in the shoes of a historical figure, and I think that this was always going to be a problem no matter who they chose because of historical inaccuracy,
Yep.
especially when you get into complex topics like relationships. It also says, though, his story had been stretched to fit modern talking points. Ubisoft marketed the move as authentic representation, but fans saw it for what it was: corporate virtue signaling
Yep.
designed to score headlines rather than tell a compelling story. And it's so sad that Ubisoft has fallen so much. We've seen this happen with so many studios over the years who were once extremely popular, and I don't see a way that they could even be saved at this point. Now, for me personally, my major question would be if they would portray the KKK accurately, because the KKK was founded as a military arm for the Democratic Party, but I digress. A lot of other people on social media are not happy about this situation. Discussing Films had
Of
posted a
course they're
thread
not.
on it, which has got 20 million views. This has thousands upon thousands of comments. There are tons of people saying, but I was told Assassin's Creed Shadows broke records. Wouldn't they want to replicate that magic? If we hadn't been
Alec
bombarded with
Baldwin's
preachy
finger.
virtue signaling games for the last 10 years, this wouldn't have been an issue. But we all know this story would have been told like a left-wing sociology professor's wet dream. A black man in feudal Japan, make it happen. This is why whenever big companies tell you how valuable their diversity and core beliefs are, you shouldn't trust them. As soon as money's on the
Yeah.
line, they'll abandon everything they believe in to appease the people who don't even buy their product. This would have been an amazing concept for an Assassin's Creed game. Massive shame we'll never see it because of a few crybabies. I wish they went through with this game. So basically,
This one right here, this Sense Potato, has been talking a lot of trash lately, especially with the Ghost of Yotai recently coming out.
everybody is mad or pointing and laughing at them at this point. Video game politics should not have been a thing, yet here we are. And the fault lies entirely with the studios who needed to make people pay for educational experiences.
Yeah.
Few people want to buy pop art with someone's current political message in it. And nobody even complained about this DLC, which was Freedom Cry. Yeah, but modern day Assassin's Creed is very different from the good days of Assassin's Creed. So I'm curious to see if Ubisoft Ubisoft will make a statement on this, if we will get any
Probably
other
not.
information or confirmation, or if GameFile was literally just putting out a report to try to get some headlines out there and push the narrative more that gamers are so mean and toxic and art is dying because people are actually not buying games anymore with modern day political messaging in them. But right now we're hearing that Ubisoft canceled an Assassin's Creed game set in the post-Civil War era, and it was to feature a black assassin who was formerly a slave, and players would fight the emerging KKK, though leadership canceled it. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this important and informative, make sure to give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.
All right, so that's that. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the video that I wanted to go over and talk about. It's just that it's just ridiculous. But we'll yeah. Like now that she said that, I can see them like putting this out just to try to calm the flames of not calm the flames, but like not let Ubisoft be the ones at fault for this. It's the fans' fault that we're not getting another Assassin's Creed game like this. So it's kind of stupid, really dumb, but that's what it is. But guys, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for watching. That is it for this video. I thought this was gonna be a short video, but it turned into a much longer one, which is okay. I'm not mad about it. If you're new to the channel, be sure you hit that like, subscribe button. You can also watch this on my Rumble channel as well. I have a link down to that below. I also have links to my Kick, Twitch, and my gaming channel as well. I also will link this video of Vara's in the video description as well, so you definitely want to go check that out. Show her some love and support. But thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see y'all in the next video. Y'all have a good one.